Alright guys, today we're going to be making a little mod list for Oblivion that essentially will make it an absolutely perfect game by fixing a number of the issues that vanilla Oblivion did have. You know, there is some weird stuff in Oblivion that's either very, very irritating or there's just some stupid exploits that you can very easily do, which kind of ruins the game a little bit because you know it's there and you can just go ahead and do it. For instance, there's a mod on here that totally fixes the leveling. It's a mod that ensures that you don't have to spend loads and loads of time power leveling to optimize your level ups, and therefore the creatures will not gain too much power in comparison to your character. And we're also going to be fixing a number of those really stupid exploits where, for instance, you could fortify your armor by 100 points, then just go to the menu and there you go, you have an infinite repair hammer. Or how if you enchant enough items with reflect damage or resist normal weapons or resist magic, you will eventually just take 0 damage. And the fairly flawed health pool system where you have to jack up your character with loads of endurance, low level, in order to maximise your health gains per level. You know, stuff like that is totally going to be fixed, it's going to totally be gone. So first of all, let's talk about leveling. What's really irritating is you literally have to increase a governed skill per attribute 10 times to get that +5 on a level up. So this means you would have to get, for instance, your armourer or your heavy armour skill up 5 each per level just to get +5 endurance per level. And it's just way too much levelling up. And obviously power levelling a skill is fairly boring. And then it also weirdly means if you're trying to really, you know, min-max the game, levelling up actually becomes a bad idea. Like staying at level 1 is actually a better thing to do, or just delaying level ups. Luckily there is a fairly decent mod, not a very catchy name, but it's called a Fair Attribute Gain Change. Let's just call it Fair Leveling. So there's a number of different modes that you can go for, but the best one is to just go for Fair mode. And to be fair, the version that the author does recommend is also pretty good too. So this, what it does is it reduces the amount of skill ups required in order to gain these attribute gains. Now there are other mods out there that kind of do similar stuff, but in my experience those leveling mods they're just way too complicated than they need to be, because really the system just needs to be a little bit fairer and less brutal. So for instance, with easy mode, if you gain 4 skill ups, let's say in heavy armour, there you go, you've got +5 endurance when you level up. And there is modes also where if you increase it slightly higher over 4 skills, then you will actually gain extra points per level. If you want my advice, I will just go for easy mode. I think it's just very simply the most balanced, and I think it's the way leveling is supposed to be in this game. It's slightly easier to get that +5 upgrade, but it's also not ridiculously easy, because obviously other mods, sometimes you just have to increase the skill once and then you get the +5, which means you get 15 attribute points every level up without that much effort, and I think that is way too OP because you just get your attributes up way too high. But anyway, have a look at the settings and choose which one is best for you. There's another mod that I will quickly recommend which simplifies it even more, where you just get +3 on every single skill every time by default, which is another fairly decently balanced way to do it also. Now, one of the big issues is the spellmaker in the game can be exploited very heavily with Fortify attribute and Fortify skill spells to a number of different effects. Now this mod, which is going to be called Balance Magic, it basically removes the ability to do that in the game. You can still make spells, but any opportunity to really exploit the magic creation system will be gone with this mod. It also makes a number of other changes, because one of the big issues in Oblivion is how much Magicka points that you can get. Now 1 point of intelligence will give slightly more Magicka with this mod, and the cost of certain spells is basically reduce the higher skill that you get, and it's much more balanced and much more fair. And also those very irritating level requirements for a certain spell to work, they've basically been increased, so you have a higher chance for those spells to actually work. I personally think that this is the best magic mod to get because it focuses more on fixing those broken systems. It makes magic system way more balanced, and it also does add some cool new spells to the list of spells that you can get in the game. Another little mod that we're going to get is spell effect caps. So what this does is it prevents you from getting 100% chameleon, reflect damage, reflect spell, absorb spell, resist normal weapons, and resist magic. If you don't already know, you can basically stack these magic effects in the game to essentially make the game pointless because you can't take damage. And this mod obviously introduces a cap, so you will still... Basically, how it works in Skyrim, you can't stack certain effects to the point where you will not take damage. Another really broken thing in the game is the skeleton key. I don't understand why there is literally an indestructible lockpick in the game that makes the lockpicking skill totally redundant. What this is going to do is a skeleton key becomes an actual ability. It adds that plus 40 security buff to the character rather than giving him an indestructible lockpick. This way the game is just way more balanced and you don't always have to go for the skeleton key, because let's be honest, the skeleton key is basically just a cheat code. But if you still want the skeleton key, then obviously just skip this mod. Now, another really irritating thing is how you early game have to increase your endurance stat, because your health will increase by 1/10 of your endurance stat per level. Now, this is a leveling system called real retroactive health, where basically this is totally redundant and it doesn't matter, right? Let's say you level endurance early game and you get a certain amount of health at end game. Let's say you get 500 health. It doesn't matter if you level endurance late game, like in the last 10 levels, getting up to level 50, you will still have the same amount of health as the person who leveled endurance earlier on. This way you don't have to ultra focus on leveling your endurance low level, and you don't have to optimize getting certain birth signs or certain things in the class specialization maker in order to get loads of endurance early game. You can opt to get more fun birth signs like spell birth signs. You don't have to get the overpowered stat ones instead. Another irritating thing in Oblivion is leveled rewards. So say for instance you do a certain quest at a higher level, the reward will be better just because you did it at a higher level. That's kind of annoying because sometimes you want to go for certain rewards, but then you have to wait until you're higher level to get the better version of it. Balanced unleveled rewards balances all of the quest rewards around, first of all, how easy are they to obtain. So obviously the rewards that are easier to obtain will be locked at a certain level. For instance, an item might be locked at level 5 stats, whereas a quest item that is quite a long chain that requires a lot of effort, therefore that item will be locked at a higher level. So you'll get rewarded for doing longer, more difficult quests. And then the spells, so obviously there's certain spells which are locked at certain levels depending on what level you are when you complete the quest that unlocks that spell. These spells, like Fingers of the Mountain for instance, will now level up with the character, so they'll increase in stats and power as you level up. In my opinion, this is a way fairer and more balanced version of doing quest rewards in a mod, because it's basically making it much more similar to Skyrim. You may think, well, some of the rewards are going to be like way too overpowered too early, but the thing is they won't be, because a lot of the damage that you do in-game is also based on your stats. So you'll acquire these weapons, yeah, they'll be pretty powerful, but they're only going to get to their true maximum potential when you actually level up and get your stats up. Now, there is a slight irritation with the alchemy system where when you level up your alchemy to a higher level, mainly the expert, obviously you get 4 full effects, and then sometimes you're just trying to make a potion with one effect, for instance like restore health, but because you've used certain ingredients that also have another effect that matches up, you'll make a restore health potion, but then rather stupidly it will do something like damage your intelligence, and you just want to make a basic restore health potion. Well, luckily the mod Alchemy Advanced just totally fixes this, so you can filter out, look, I just want to make a restore health potion. You click something in the menu, there's a totally new menu in the game. You'd be like, right, just make a restore health potion or a restore magicka potion, and bosh, done. That's all it will create. And you can save these little recipes to make these potions in the future. So it's just a much better alchemy system. Leveling Mercantile is also a little bit broken in the vanilla game to the point, well, it's just very, very slow. The mod Mercantile Experience Fix does fix this. You also gain contribution to the next mercantile skill by buying items as well as selling items, plus the quantity of items will also complement this. So say for instance you have like 50 restore health potions and you sell them all in one go, that still only counts as one transaction when it comes to leveling Mercantile. However, with this mod installed, it will bear in mind that you have sold multiple items, and therefore the play to, power level your Mercantile is to sell multiple items. And lastly guys, you obviously always want your script extender, which you can download off of Nexus, pretty sure you can get it off Steam these days as well, and you want your unofficial patches for every single expansion that you do have downloaded, so you want Vanilla 1, Shivering Isles 1, etc. Now, if you want this mod list, I've made it very simple for you. I've made a big mod pack that you can just very simply download off a Google Drive document. But in order to gain access, what you have to do is subscribe to the channel, go to my subscriber trailer, and you will see it in the description of that video. But anyway guys, my name is a Night Goblin, and until my next video, ciao.